We're here with Michael Kuker, and you are part of the historical identity of Reading, correct?
Well, in a way, I'm a co-founder of a group called This Place Matters Reading, and we're a coalition of individuals, businesses, and organizations that believe historic preservation and placemaking can contribute to downtown's revitalization. So,
Absolutely. So I would imagine you know a little bit of the history of this building as well as many other buildings in the area.
yes, absolutely. The building we're in right now is about 90 years old, and these bricks go back that far. So we think that there's a lot of authenticity and character in these old buildings that hasn't been properly leveraged. And so as part of this campaign, we're just increasing awareness of the importance and, more importantly, the economic value of this sort of thing. There's a historian once said, history is who we are and why we are the way we are. And I think that as we develop, we need to understand how we got to the place that we are now.
So like Jared was talking about the story and the context. If you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it and stuff like that.
Exactly. Reading, in my opinion, has always been kind of a town that seeks a magic bullet, whether it was the railroad or the copper industry. And historically, those things have worked out okay until they don't, and then they don't work out in a big way. So on a personal level, I'd like to see a little bit more of an incremental growth type system that would allow it to be more equitable and sustainable, both economically and environmentally.
Yeah. It takes, like you're saying, the slow, sustainable, slow growth, building story and context and bringing different groups of people together. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the different kinds of groups that are involved in your organization.
Yeah, there were really three of us that were kind of the main co-founders, and that was myself and Patricia Lord from the Shasta Historical Society and Deborah Lucera from the Shasta County Arts Council. And we kind of tried to figure out a way to save the bell rooms, which was a 2-story brick building a little north of us right now that was threatened with demolition. And it was 110 years old, and there wasn't really a definitive reason why it was being torn down. And we'd seen so much being torn down, we lost, 3 blocks of buildings to put in the parking structure in the 60s and 70s, and then another few blocks for the downtown mall. And we just said, well, what if there's a different way? And so we had events and, organizations, and we reached enough people that there was a response, and we were able to save the building. It was the first big preservation win in Reading in a long time.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And the local community and the local government was responsive, clearly, to your guys' efforts.
Yeah. It was a lot of going to various meetings and all that, and pitching visions of what could be, because too often historic preservation gets pigeonholed as putting buildings under glass, and you can't touch it, it's behind a velvet rope. And we were arguing for more of what's called adaptive reuse, which is when a building is repurposed. Like this building that we're in right now,
Yeah.
The brewery was originally a garage. So it's just a way of making these buildings that still have a lot of life left in them contribute more to our community.
Yeah, that's epic. I love that. You're actually, it's living history. We're here, we're seeing it, we're engaging in it. It's very lively.
Yeah,
So,
if you go into a Starbucks, you'll often see a brick wall made out of extruded plastic.
Right.
But here, you have the real authentic brick.
Nice. I like that. So I know it sounds a little bit of contradictory to have a historian talk about the future, but it's also very synergistic. What is your vision for Shasta in the future?
Well, it's a kind of a cliche, but Shasta County and Reading has pretty much unlimited potential. And our vision is just that the past should inform the future. They say hindsight's 20/20. Well, if that's true, then you can learn a lot by looking at the past and seeing what worked and what didn't work. And so now with downtown, we're seeing a look back to historic development patterns where you have multi-story mixed-use buildings being built, like the ones that used to be here 100 years ago because they work.
Awesome. Well, that's super exciting. I love what you're doing. Thanks for joining us, Michael.
Thank you.
And keep saving old things.
We'll see what we can do. Thanks.